Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we're talking about a vintage Rolex Oyster Perpetual Submariner. This is reference 1680, serial number 6.1 million, so roughly 1980. The timepiece is 39 millimeters in stainless steel. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it is the look and the feel of vintage Rolex. Smaller than a modern sub, but also more delicately and perhaps more handsomely proportioned. It's a good fit for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters in circumference. The watch is a little bit thicker than you might expect because of the generously domed plexiglass crystal. The timepiece measuring a very reasonable 13.9 millimeters thick, and the watch measuring 47.5 millimeters from lug to lug, with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now the timepiece does feature a bracelet that is somewhat newer than the rest of the watch. It's an AB code, so roughly year 2000, 93150 with 593 end links. I'm going to get as close as I can now because this is an important piece of information for anyone buying an older Rolex. You can see the 593 end links and the bracelet code 93150, and I'll show you the clasp as well with the code AB, the age stamp. This is a much later bracelet that would be correct with its end links and its reference to a Rolex 16800 transitional sub. So while it is considerably newer than the watch and in outstanding condition, I just want to make clear that these two things were not born together, but the watch is all Rolex. So take note of the junction of a 1680 with a 593 end link profile, and then you can see the bracelet itself, being considerably newer than the 1980 watch, has less play than you would expect for a hollow center link Rolex Oyster bracelet. Now the timepiece, of course, considerably older than the bracelet, pays dividends because the bracelet is such a functional part. You want it to be as crisp and modern as possible if you're going to wear it daily. You can see that all the original definition is still present in the clasp. The Oyster clasp locking with a clamshell and featuring fully intact original coating. Maker's marks, let me try to show those to you as best I can. Maker's marks as well as age stamps, reference number, and of course there is a Rolex flip lock dive extension built in. So it still functions as a diving bracelet. Whether you want to test this watch against the depths as a true vintage piece is up to you. I would recommend you simply use that extension for those times when you must wear the watch over thick winter coats or sweaters. Now the case itself is remarkably intact. The case is a bit of a miracle. As you can see, the original factory bezels are still present and correct. Most of the original metal is there side to side. You can see there's symmetry of shape and volume in those lugs, and it's true at all four corners. This is the single most important external feature I look at when I'm inspecting an older Rolex: how much of the lugs remains, and also how symmetrical are they. If you still have that original factory beveling, that's pretty much the ultimate. There's no protrusion of spring bars. You can see the metal is still present and correct. You can see there's a Rolex trip lock crown, screw down. The watch originally rated to 200 meters, but again, this being a watch of exceptional vintage and true vintage at this point, I would use a more modern timepiece for actual diving. That said, the watch will pass an aggressive water test. The timepiece features a bidirectional rotating bezel because that was the spec back in 1980 for a 1680, and that bezel features the only piece of luminova on the entire watch. You line up the luminova pearl with the tritium hands, and you can use it as a timing organ by day. Just remember, the hands as well as the dial are true Rolex tritium, and they will have faded, which is why they have a little bit of a creamy aged patina, and the bezel pearl looks white as chalk. The dial is superbly preserved. You can see all the original serifs, all hashes, all indices, all letters. It is a true survivor. No water damage, no oxidation, no marks from uncareful watchmakers. And you can see a metallic date disc underneath the Cyclops eye. You really get a sense of the height of the plexiglass crystal right here. That to achieve 200 meter water resistance with a piece of thermoplastic. Underneath the case back, 26 joules automatic winding, Rolex caliber 1570, 19,800 vibration per hour beat rate. That's very old school. It's quirky and redolent of the 1970s tech. The watch does feature hacking seconds, but not a quick set date. It features a 42 to 45 hour power reserve. It does feature a free sprung balance, and it does feature an overcoil hairspring, so the watch is fairly shock resistant, or at least it was in its time, and it's very accurate, as that overcoil hairspring plus 5 position adjustment helps the watch to achieve a COSC chronometer certification. The watch offers a lot. It is an everyday wearable vintage Rolex Submariner. It's a timepiece that features a much later and thus much better preserved bracelet than you normally find on watches of this era, and of course with the dial 100% intact and the watch all Rolex, you have a piece that is more collectible than if, for example, it were on its original bracelet but the dial had been replaced. So this is a timepiece, watch head only, that could be considered one of the best vintage plays in late 70s, early 80s Rolex sports watches. It's a simple thing to find the correct 93150 or 93150 with 580 end link bracelet if you really want. Personally, I would take advantage of those strap tool apertures and wear the watch on a strap. See the watch and decide for yourself on the watch box.